Welcome, everyone, to this very special episode of Craig and Friends, featuring my darling, my love, Ada Zanditon, of Ada Zanditon Couture, and also the mother of my child. That's our big announcement. That's the announcement we've been talking about. It's not just that there's an announcement coming.
No, although the announcement itself is coming soon.
Yes, that's right. Very soon, as a matter of fact.
Very soon, to a hospital that might be near you, or it might not be near you.
But buy your tickets now.
Yes.
Because you don't want to miss out. But they're not going to miss out, because we're going to tell them all about the whole journey, about what it's like to be two queer, neurodiverse, poly parents.
Absolutely.
So I guess that's our show. And it's funny that this podcast is the one that our two voices are being heard on for the first time, because we met on a podcast taping. We met
because I was going to be on your podcast, and then
we started dating.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly. Immediately.
Yeah.
And that episode was taped probably at the beginning of the heart of the pandemic. The really great part.
The great part, May 2020.
Yes. Oh.
The iconic part.
Yeah. The fabulous, the fun. Yeah, the part we pine for.
The part where we all ran out of toilet paper.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But I actually did not, because I had been so sick.
Yeah.
But, which we'll get to. There's a callback to that one. Right beforehand, that I got home about a week before all the shutdowns. And I had heard about possible shortages, but no one was taking the thing seriously yet in LA. So I had about a week lead time to be completely freaked out, Howard Hughes style, and load up on everything except for the bleach wipes, which afterwards, because about a day after the shutdown, it was like, no more bleach wipes, can't find them on eBay for $70 for a 2-pack. I kept seeing the shelf I walked past at Gelson's that was just rammed with them.
Oh, God.
And I was like, oh, no. And that's right around the time I was like, I think I have to start bleach wiping my food. So it was a golden time.
I have to bleach wipe my bleach wipe.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did that for a while, too.
Yeah.
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 Because we like to be thorough. And we like to have our mental illness help us do the right thing.
It's wild.
It's really wild. So we met then, and then we shelved that episode because there was too many things going on in the world that were shifting and changing by the hour. Let's not rush into anything here. Let's take it slowly.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you feel about that part? Speaker announcement. This is a hallmark of Craig and Friends. And previously Whimsically Volatile. As you know, I forget to turn the Bluetooth speaker off.
Excellent.
And it makes itself known.
It does. It wants to be part of the journey.
It does. And I appreciate that. This little guy has been with me through a lot. Now with us through a lot. That's right. With the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to how you were feeling about when it started, because we did take things slowly in the strangest way possible, in a way, to some people.
If Jane Austen was written by two perverts, I think that would accurately reflect our relationship from May 2020 until the beginning of February this year.
That's right.
It was a romantic, long, correspondence-driven relationship.
Yes. And not quite as demure as a Jane Austen book, which is the main shift in this.
Yeah, so Jane Austen mixed with, I'm trying to think of something.
Emmanuel in Rio, Lady Chatterley's Lover.
Yeah.
Perhaps. What could be more heartwarming?
What could be more romantic?
That's right.
What could be more Jane Austen than that?
Nothing. There's none more Jane Austen.
Yeah.
I'd like to say hi right now to our parents and all of our other family members that are listening. But the thing is, they know who we are.
Well, within reason, yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, you heard the announcement part, gang. If you're going to be uncomfortable, jump ship right now. Just want to let you know. Yeah. I'll be giving the abridged 5-minute version of my nieces.
The baby is a big clue as to the fact that sex took place.
Yeah, you know what? I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think, in this day and age, it's kind of a good time to get rid of these silly notions about, oh, well, now you're a mother.
Oh, the stork.
Oh, yeah, the stork.
Oh, yeah, the stork. Yeah.
The stork, right.
No.
Well, that's how we got our kid. Cheers to the stork.
Cheers to the stork.
Yeah.
Thanks, stork.
You can kind of get anything done in London with a bit of graft. And, well, we'll get into that in another episode. But
yeah.
So we did, though, take things slow in a couple of ways. Because it was a very long time before either of us said, I love you.
Yeah.
For good reason. Because we'd had some bad experiences.
Yes.
No need to get into the details. But it's a good thing to mention for a number of reasons. Whatever you can do to improve your next situation is a good thing. Especially when it's this very unusual way of getting involved with someone. Transatlantic, over the video, with no chance possible of being in the same room. For
an unknown period of time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the only known period being that it was probably going to be a year.
At least.
Yeah. That was I remember at the time, it was like, oh, it'll be a year. Because that seemed like that's such a crazy amount of time that makes my head melt and me want to cry. But it'll be a year, right?
Uh-huh.
And now as we circle the third year this is the very tail end. This is the very tailwind end of the whole thing. But it's not over.
Which bit? The pandemic?
The pandemic, yeah.
Oh, the Pavarotti or the Panna
The
Cotta.
Pavarotti, yeah. And certainly, but that's not the focus of this.
No.
We've all talked quite a bit about that.
Yes, no, indeed.
And dealt, but no, this is
in
the third year of
February,
a very long, wonderful thing.
Romance.
And the start of a family.
Yeah. Which was a total surprise.
That's right.
And a complete surprise. In fact, one of the best questions we've been asked is, was this conception spontaneous? Said the lady who scanned us at one of the scans. I can't remember which scan it was.
And scans for Americans is ultrasound.
Ultrasound, yeah. So, is it a spontaneous conception?
Or was it planned? I remember, or was it planned? And we were like,
it was the most spontaneous.
Yes.
The most spontaneous.
Ultra incredibly, incredibly, blah, blah, blah. Spontaneous. So that is actually an accurate reflection of how my brain,
spontaneous it was.
Exactly. And what my brain was going through.
Indeed.
When the phone call came.
Yeah.
Because we got to find this out.
Just the day or two after I got back to London.
After visiting me in person for the first time.
For the first time. So I got off the plane in early February. I think it was the 11th, just a few days before your birthday.
Yes. And by the way, best birthday I think I've ever had. Certainly was an incredible spirit lifter after the dismal few years before. Even the year before the pandemic, things went a little askew one night. Due to, I think, a mental health issue. And we'll get more into that later as well. So there's lots coming up, folks. And you came to town to see me.
and celebrate your birthday.
Yes.
And got to your house. We got through your front door after staring at each other in the street.
And laughing.
For laughing,
and crying, too. Actually.
Crying, all sorts of emotions.
Yeah.
And then a couple of hours later, we got informed that your front door was still open with the keys in it.
Yes.
But we'd been very busy in a bedroom, so we hadn't really noticed.
No, we really hadn't.
No.
I had been uptight about getting the apartment tidy enough for a visitor, and also in the mania that is going on when you actually haven't had a visitor properly for about 2 years.
Yeah.
And you're very into someone, you're in love with someone, and you want them to. And also you have those crazy thoughts like, oh, the place is a mess. And it's like not a mess. There's like, wow, is there a stack of DVDs over there?
It was pretty good. It was pretty fabulous. Quite.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, what were your impressions?
Lots of records.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it looks exactly like it does on Instagram.
which is good. Then you're like, it's not a green screen. This is
It's
good.
not a green screen. He really does have all of these things and all of these vinyls.
Plus, we had logged a lot of video hours together, so I guess
Yes.
you would have known by then.
Would have noticed, yeah.
Yeah.
The film posters really are that big.
Yes, and there's that many of them.
And there is that many of them,
And there's even more that haven't been put up yet. So this is
true.
the more exciting, suspenseful things for people to find out more about on the new revamped Patreon, which, of course, is at patreon.com/
Craig and Friends.
That's right, folks. So we'll get back. We'll do more of that later. But, get your fingers ready now, because there's going to be a lot of special content related to parenthood, to mental health, and other things, as well as a change to Movie Club. Movie clubs will be public now, except for those who want to get in on the action ahead of time. More about that later and in upcoming episodes. But now, let's get back to that beautiful February, which was one of the most magical times in my life.
Oh, that's so lovely. Yeah, it was such a wonderful visit. And yeah, we were very naughty. We had loads of fun.
Loads of fun.
Loads of fun. We did lots of really wicked, terrible things.
Yes, delightfully wicked, terrible things.
Yeah.
And, I explored a lot of things that I had never explored before because I'd always wanted to and thought about them, and which we still continue to do, which is wonderful. And that's been very liberating. And you're the first actual poly person that I was with. I was with someone who sort of played at it or pretended that they were, but it wasn't true. It was sort of like a baiting technique.
Right.
So really, I get to be my full kinky, queer, omnivorous self.
Excellent. And me too,
you.
which
Yes.
is such a relief.
Yeah, it is quite a relief, isn't it?
Yeah.
In many other ways, so many ways, I'm able to be my full self with you.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. And that's one of the greatest gifts ever.
Oh, that is a great gift. And it's a great gift to have that in return.
Oh, thank you. And I'm glad that you can be too. It's an honor for me. And it makes me just so happy.
Oh.
Yeah. Because we've had some tough times.
Yes.
Everyone goes through tough times, but we had some tough times interpersonally adjusting to the news.
Yes. So I flew, after 3 amazing weeks, I flew back to London.
Yeah.
Went out, got COVID, like the night after I got back, or the night I got back. It was like pretty immediately.
Yeah, pretty quick. It was, yeah.
And then also looked at that tracking app in my phone and was suddenly like, oh, where is my period? It's quite late, actually. Oh, how did that happen?
And this was a little more of a surprise for you than maybe some other people because of...
Well, having tried to previously have children with a few different people with 0 success ever.
But with all the charts and planning and my ovulation
There were charts,
cycle is this
there were
time.
plans. Plans
Yeah.
were drawn up. Yeah.
There was winches, there was hoists.
Testing.
Yeah.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Nothing happened. So no, I had never been pregnant before.
And also, didn't there was some kind of doctor's
there was
exam?
some very strange comments made about my cervix by some doctor.
A doctor that you went to see, just to clarify.
A doctor that I went to see, yeah. Who said something about a hole in my cervix. And I was like, right, so I'm 39. I've been told that I might have a hole in my cervix. And what else?
If memory serves, the way that they responded to your worry about that, which would worry anyone.
Oh, yeah.
You said, wait, what do you mean? What's wrong? And I said, nothing. I mean, unless you were planning on having children. Anyway, your blood tests are fine.
Yeah.
Right? Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And I'd gone, oh, well, I'm not planning on having children anymore. So,
But that was a lot, too, to come to grips with, wasn't it?
yeah, that had taken a while. But I was very much living, hashtag my best child-free life, as people like to say on TikTok. So, yeah, I was like, I guess this is what I'm just the cool auntie, I thought.
I remember you saying something to me that was really touching after we found out that you had sort of grieved that possibility and thought, well, I have my nieces and nephews.
Yeah.
And in a sense, they're my kids in as much as they can be.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was really sweet. And it really made me understand what it would be like, or, have a sense of what it would feel like to want something like that and then find out you can't have a child. Because that's a subject matter that has never been something that I thought was not necessarily not possible, but was never in my conception for my life.
Yes.
For a number of factors. It's not that I don't like kids. I just had a very bad time as a child with other kids.
Yeah.
And there was, a lot of tensions at home. Lovely people, my parents, that did their very best for everything. But, they had some adverse things that had occurred to them both at the time and in their history, which we'll probably talk to them about at some point. Because also family histories are not just important, but they're important to explore for all sorts of things. And we'll get into this maybe another time, but and I'll try to stop saying that. But because compassion with family is something we've been talking a lot about, and compassion with people in general. But I don't want to get too far away from this plot line, because the shock for you, I can imagine, was tremendous, because again, when you grieve, something is never going to be happening.
Yeah, you let it go, literally. And also, it was such a wild couple of days, because first there were 2 lines on a COVID test.
Yes.
And then there were 2 lines on a pregnancy test, literally the next day. And then I peed on a second stick. And there were still 2 lines. And I was like, well, now I have a little lineup of 3 tests, all with 2 lines each. So I guess let's not do any other tests.
I'll skip the calculus exam.
Well, actually, maybe that would have been a good moment to do a calculus exam. It might have been the one time I would have passed such a thing.
You're like, can you get me a driving test? I want
I need a driving test.
Pilot license test.
Redo my physics GCSE. That would be great.
Series
else?
6 for investments. Anything. Just load those up today.
Keep going, because I seem to be passing with flying colors. Like everything I pee on or cough on, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the call that shocked me so much that actually led to me leaning on the top of my record storage device, which is about 6 foot high. Yeah. And I had one hand on that and I was sort of swaying off the edge of it. I get a phone call right when I wake up, maybe 10 in the morning.
A very ASD sort of phone call.
And
I'm speaking of myself.
No. And to that, which we'll get into further in a little bit, we're both on the neurodivergent spectrum.
Yes.
I have ADHD with a nice little sidecar of general anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
And something else, which we'll talk about later. And you?
Somewhere in the ASD zone.
And for those not familiar with ASD.
Autistic spectrum disorder.
There you go.
And dyslexia.
Yes.
Dyspraxia. And I think that's quite, I've got a nice collection there.
It's a lovely array.
It's lovely.
There's something on the menu for everyone.
Exactly.
Yes. So that's funny that you said that's a very ASD kind of call. What to call first thing in the morning, or the way that you...
The way I phrased everything, I think would be the bit.
Yeah, I would agree with you. This is how it was phrased to me. Hey, babe, how's it going? Is everything okay? Because I just woken up, or maybe you woke me up with the call. I'm not sure.
I think I woke you up.
I think you did. And it was so close after your return to the UK. I want to make sure everything was okay. Because we were both just devastated when
Yeah, it was really
you had to
awful
leave.
having to leave. Yeah.
It was very hard.
It was ridiculously hard.
Like we were both sobbing.
I was sobbing in a taxi all the way to LAX, which was bizarre.
Especially because that ride is not a very scenic one.
No.
No matter what time of day. You just feel like you're seeing belching smoke, angry drivers, and sometimes you get a bad car. That's why I always go for the XL, or if you can. I was in a dodgy like Datsun one time, and it was real bad. Anyway, you call me and hey babe, what's up? Everything okay? Well, you just woke up, so you probably don't want to hear this. So maybe I'll tell you later. And I immediately went, "What the fuck? What are you talking about?" I was like, "You cannot do that. Is outrageous." I was like, "What? You tell me, what is it? What are you kidding me?" I was like, "If you don't tell me what it is, I'm going to imagine the worst things and all of them at once." And then he said, "Okay, well, my period's late." I believe that's the way it went.
Yes. Oh, yes. I said my period's late, and I had bought the pregnancy test at that point, but I hadn't actually peed on it yet,
which I didn't know. This is the hilarious thing.
Yeah.
You said my period's late,
right?
And I said, "Oh my God, that's what." And then I said, "Well, you," and he said, "I think
I could be.
It could be pregnant, right?" And then it was the talk of the test, and that's right. And then you said, "I have the test." So I said, "Okay, I have the test." And then I think later it was like, I don't know what I think that call kind of wrapped up not that long after. I think I said, "Babe, I need to have a cup of tea."
Something like, "Please go pee on that stick immediately."
Well, I think I said something a little more tart after because I was like, okay, so cool. So we'll find out for sure. That's what I said. Because I just assumed that you'd then be going to take the test. I didn't want to keep you any longer. Also, I was like, "Babe, I need to have my medication, a cup of tea, and something to eat." Because I was like, whoa, woozy. Literally hanging off the thing, my white knuckles almost, because I'm leaning. And I'm going, and do you remember on the phone? I think this is what I said for like a minute. I just went, "Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God." It was like I was giving line readings. It's like this scene in Tough Guys Don't Dance with Ryan O'Neal.
Oh man. Oh God. Oh man. Oh God. Oh man. Oh God. Oh man. Oh God. Oh man. Oh God.
Or anytime you see voice acting portrayed in a movie.
That's right.
And you see them doing all the alternate ways they could say that line.
Yeah, exactly. Give us another one, a little more fearful and less confident in
touch more vibrato.
And now one just a little bit more shocked but indignant. And it was all of those.
Yeah.
I got all of them out. Then
really well done.
Thank you I appreciate that because under duress I deliver.
Exactly.
So then we hang up. I go. I put Sparks on. The Terminal Jive album, which is now playing on a loop as my head is spinning. And I'm like, okay, right. Get your pills, get your food. And I'm like, oh my God. And then, she's going to take the test. She's taking the test. Let's just slow down. She's taking the test. Because let's not jump to conclusions. People's periods can be late. People, when they travel across time zones, also, she hasn't traveled in a long time. I haven't traveled in a long time. Let's just calm down. And then I think you called back, and then it was very much, "I'm pregnant."
It was very much that.
It was very much that. And then there was more, "Oh my God."
I think I said, so there were two lines, which means "I'm pregnant."
This is before you took the test.
No, it was afterwards.
No, because
I rang back to tell you I'd taken the test, didn't I?
No. I called because I was so in shock that I think I called you to say, "Hey, listen, about I can't remember now. This bit's a little foggy."
Okay.
But I do remember that at a certain point, I said, "Well, the tests say that, right?" And then you said, "Well, I haven't taken them yet."
Oh, I thought that happened on the first call.
No, not in the first call.
Oh, okay. So it was a slightly more long. As usual, there was more of the process that you remember than I do.
Oh, well, I mean, I can't remember exact words and everything like that, but because there was a span of time in between. Like, I think I might have gotten donuts. I was just like, okay, every sou that is in the world, let's do that. Because what the hell? Oh my God, what? Like, how could this be? But maybe it's not. So just that back and forth. And I'm trying to watch something and I think, okay, you're going to take the test. And then you call back and you were upset, understandably, because this is right. I remember now. In the interim, around the time maybe you called our friend Laura.
Yeah.
And she'll be on at some point to talk about all this. And you were beside yourself because you were really worried, as you would because you're very emotional. It's a shock that I would maybe leave or not be there if you were pregnant. Because I'd always said very casually, I never want kids.
Yeah.
I'm never going to have kids. Although we later remembered that during our discussions one time, I said, well, okay, I've never considered having a child before, and I've always been dead set against it. But with you, I would maybe consider adopting, because at that point, the premise was that you were infertile.
Yes.
And I had an incident with an ex.
Yeah.
Years ago, where I was told, oh, it's fine. I'm at this part of the period. There's no way that I could get pregnant.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Had to get an abortion. So
right.
This was another scare, like of being like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. How could I think that, but I also didn't think much about it at the time because we were fucking like rabbits and having a wonderful time. Though do you remember that part where I told you that later on when we found out for sure you're pregnant, that one time we were having sex, I came and in my head came this very quiet thought, well, that was the one, wasn't it?
Plus, there's the fact that your dad manifested it over, what was it, Thanksgiving or something? Christmas dinner. Or
prior to February.
Yeah, prior to even meeting each other. He said something about what?
Well, so I'm on my first excursion out of the apartment for 2 years. I mean, yes, I'd gone down the hall a couple times, down the laundry room finally after I overcame that fear. Folks who listen to Live from Lockdown, which you listened to Live.
I was listening to Live from Lockdown, yeah.
Which warms my heart and makes me very happy.
You.
Thank you. And I'm glad that you told me about how it helped at time. And it
definitely helped.
Which made me very happy because I definitely lost my mind a number of times during the pandemic. But Christmas with my folks and my dad, I'm telling my parents about our upcoming visit. Also trying to explain to an 82 and 80-year-old about my girlfriend, who I hadn't really told them a lot about before.
Yeah.
Simply because I'm like, okay, this is also, for instance, my mom is finally getting an iPhone.
Yeah.
Because it's like having a black and white TV, a 13-inch black and white TV, and going, oh, I'm fine. And so finally, I've convinced her that she deserves to enjoy an iPhone. So even the concept of video chatting, foreign to them.
Yeah.
They'd done some Skype, but like that's not. So I broke it to them very slowly. I was like, well, we've been dating. Well, what do you mean? Well, she lives in London. Oh, did you meet her before the pandemic? No, actually, I didn't.
No, we met each other on Zoom.
Yes.
And then we continued on FaceTime.
That's right.
The classic 21st pandemic panna cotta Pavarotti way to begin a romance, obviously.
Exactly. It's like people say about, we met on this app, but then, it's, or like.
We didn't waste time with apps.
No.
We just went straight to Zoom.
And then graduated to FaceTime because, listen, frankly, the picture quality is a lot better.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Apple, terrific products.
Fantastic.
If you want to sponsor a couple.
Honestly.
We're here.
Yeah. We're queer, and we love a good phone.
We do. We love a good lens. Love a good lens,
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to explain to my folks this whole premise. And also, concurrently, how meaningful you are to me and how much I'm so looking forward to it and how wonderful this is and how thrilled they're going to be when they meet you. which is very difficult because it's as if you're describing a premise to a film to someone who doesn't really get, like they have to see it. They don't know.
Yeah.
They actually were better about understanding it than some people I know. I remember telling Michael DeBar halfway of the story around Christmas time, and the look on his face immediately said, "Oh, poor Craig, he's lost his mind." So I just switched the topic. I was like booking a lot of shows lately, good stuff, chats. And he of course is one of the most supportive, lovely people.
Yeah.
And remember,
absolutely lovely.
Absolutely lovely. A few weeks ago, remember, just was thinking about you. How are you and how are you and Ada and your child? It's just lovely. It's lovely. So we love you, Michael. And that discussion with Michael was at a lovely reunion meal with Mike Chapman, Maddie Patterson, Michael DeBar, a couple other folks, and they hadn't seen each other in person in years, and it was nice to be the connective tissue on that one. And that was a nice, I'm seeing people that I love, the outside world. You're like, oh, they can still, oh, good. And also thinking, London, I can get there. So my parents get the concept. They get the notion. And my dad immediately goes, oh, great. So how long till you work on getting me that grandson? Because he has two granddaughters. That's right. That's the word. Yeah.
He has two granddaughters.
It's a new word. I haven't heard it before. That's why I'm struggling with it.
Yeah.
Two granddaughters. Yes.
Yeah.
Haley and Caitlin, two lovely young ladies who are the offspring of my brother Peter and his ex. And my dad's name is Peter.
Yeah.
And more about that later. So my dad, Peter, said this, and I got typically annoyed as I would at the time. When someone's not going to have kids and they're told, "Well, you'll figure it out someday."
And thus he spoke into the world.
And to be honest, exactly, he did, and the craziest thing is he's never been the guy to do that. He's never rode me about that, or oh no, one of these days you'll come along, and when are you going to have one of our grandchildren? Because I've seen families where they have the first grandchild and immediately turn to the other sibling and go, when are you going to have a grandchild?
Yeah.
And you go, oh, you have an addiction. This is, you're not really concerned about anything else. You just want more in the family photo.
One. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So he spoke that into existence. I was like, this is ridiculous. Whatever. And then, fussily sat
there. Lo and behold. Yes.
Look who we have. So then back to the pissing on a stick. There was some time in between. This is maybe when you called Laura to talk about your worries, which I felt so bad about afterwards. Because, when you say something almost cavalierly and then you don't realize that something is so impactful to someone else. But that happens in life. But it was a good thing to learn from. But also, and I don't think I ever said anything awful about kids. I just was like, oh no, I'm not. The way that you would say, I'm not eating beef as a vegetarian.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, I'm never having kids.
Exactly.
But then when I remember when you seemed kind of like, oh, and that's when I said, because we were in person, I said, well, okay, well with you, listen, if it comes to a thing where maybe we could consider adopting, because there's no way you and I could conceive. That was the unspoken next part of the sentence.
Yeah.
So wait, then where were we? Oh yeah, so we're back on the phone again. I can't remember who called who. I'm a little less. Remember, I was kind of sanguine and hey, this will be fine. This will be good. And then I was sitting there spinning the Sparks record, just playing on a loop, right? And me just going, oh my God, holding my head, talking to myself in the mirror, not knowing what's going on. And then I call you back. And I said, okay, listen, and all the hard questions, but what are we going to do about this? And how are we going to, and then and then you said, I think this is when you said something to the effect of well, and you were upset, understandably, because you were like, to my recollection, oh, he doesn't want to have the child. And I got upset because I felt like we were disconnected.
Right.
And I said, wait, what's going on here? Oh, and by the way, this may be a little scattered all over the place. Anyone listening, you can imagine this is a lot to put together.
Indeed.
In a thing. And I also want to share the craziness that you feel when something like this happens. But earlier, this is the other aspect of the phone calls. When I was like getting a little, I was like, what are you talking about? The first one, we weren't on FaceTime. We were on FaceTime audio.
Yeah.
And we both got really pissy with each other.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, hold on a second. Because I immediately was like, oh my God, what's happening?
Yeah.
And you were like, I don't know. What's going on? And then we were like, okay, wait a second. Let's call back on video so we could see each other's faces. Because you're just alone and freaked out and scared, and
totally.
the pandemic is still roaring along. And then...
Oh, yeah, we were in the Omicron wave.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So at that point in the pandemic, of course, everyone remembers it.
It was like March this year.
Where it was like...
Where we all thought everything was fine, and then suddenly Omicron came along.
Mm-hmm. It was like, hey, everything's cool. Just like, don't be stupid. But like you can do stuff. You can finally...
we were starting to go out, and then suddenly Omicron was the thing.
Slapped us in the face, because actually you were going to come to town in the winter of 2021.
Yeah.
But then Omicron started it up, and it was like, it's looking a little frightening.
Yeah.
But then it was in full flame in March.
Yeah.
So, so then we get back on FaceTime, and then there was that moment later where I felt really bad, because I felt like you were disconnected, because you sounded heartbroken, that I was angry or not happy or whatever it sounded like, it was because I was out of my mind, like freaked out. And which we figured out later after talking to some friends was because I was so concerned, and I want everything to be done right, and I want you to be cared for, and our child, which we now know is our son, to be cared for. But then when we were having this chat, and you were like, well, I have, I'll take the test and find out for sure. And and I kind of exploded. I was like, take the test? What you're going to go take the test? You haven't taken the test yet? And you were like, well, I have them. I was like, you have the tests and you haven't taken them yet. Are you fucking kidding me? I was like, we have to hang up the phone. Please go take the test. Okay. And then I was like, I'm sorry for yelling. But I said, please, I just want to make sure you understand why I just couldn't. And you were like, yes, I get it.
Yeah. I was very nervous about peeing on that stick.
Oh, and I completely understand. But I was like, I think I talked to someone else. I was like, if that was me, I'd have pissed on all the sticks by now, like all the sticks. Like, we just paused for a second and we realized how much more to the story there is. And also, it's very late.
It is.
And you're very pregnant.
I'm 8 months pregnant.
That's
8
right.
months pregnant, which means that our son is now about the size of a cauliflower.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, a very active cauliflower.
A big cauliflower, not those little crappy ones that you get in certain budget stores.
Yeah.
But like you've gone to the organic farmer's market in Los Feliz and selected a prime, stunning showpiece cauliflower.
Exactly.
That's like next to a whole bunch of heirloom tomatoes big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like...
And purple broccoli.
Yeah, there's purple broccoli, there's heirloom tomatoes, there's this giant cauliflower that likes to kick people from the inside.
Yes, exactly.
Which
dance
is
moves.
Amazing dance moves. Really into Beyonce.
Yeah. Quite into Paul Nicholas, it seems,
very
as well.
into Paul Nicholas. Yeah, very eclectic taste already, which is really encouraging.
Very encouraging.
Loves Megan Thee Stallion.
Loves Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah. Never been kicked so hard in my life.
What could be a better endorsement?
From the inside.
There you go.
Yeah.
Then we realized that the Kate Bush album could well be...
Next.
No, well, that, and she has the album The Kick Inside.
Oh, yeah, The Kick Inside. That's
interesting.
Excellent.
Yeah. But I guess the secrets of the universe...
also loves The Clash.
Loves The Clash.
Loves The Clash, obviously.
Thank goodness, because he got to hear Sandinista about 600 or 650 times.
Many.
And for those not familiar, it's their triple album. So it's 2 hours, 30 minutes. something like that.
It's a good amount.
Yeah. And we'll get into that whole period of recent time in an upcoming episode. So if you would like to hear a lot more about this kind of thing and a whole lot more about other stuff and things, go to patreon.com/Craig and Friends, because you will get these episodes early, completely uncut, and also with a lot of bonus material. There's a lot of basically journals of our activities, our mental states, things that we're going through, new discoveries, being parents, being queer, poly, neurodiverse.
Pan? It's so weird. I really prefer the term bisexual, even though I am technically pan. But
well, it's the way words sound. It's,
Darling, I'm 40. I just grew up with the word bisexual and I got so used to it. Plus, I like the colours of the flag more. But really, I think, considering how many non-binary people I find very attractive.
Yes.
Definitely pan is the more accurate term, but bi, pan, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And you very much the same. So
very much the same.
Very much the same.
Omnivorous.
We're omnivorous, sexually omnivorous.
Yes, intellectually as well.
Intellectually omnivorous,
so. And then
culturally as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So on that note, we're going to pause here. And our next episode will be coming to you very soon. Again, earlier on, what's it called? Patreon.com?
Patreon.com.
That's right.
/Craig and Friends.
/Craig and Friends.
Yeah.
That's right. You know it. You love it. And that's why she's telling you to go there now and sign up. Also, completely new look, new options, new price tiers, lower price tiers to factor in the economy and the egalitarian nature of what we're discussing. So, thank you very much for joining me on this episode.
Well, thank you very much.
I'm glad we could find the time and that that you could find the location, which is great.
Yes.
Nice to be in the same room with you, but it always is.
Oh, yes, we're going to be doing a lot of that.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bisexual, bicoastal, or bicontinental. And another thing that we'll talk about.
Yeah, bicontinental.
Yeah.
That's another bi thing that we can add to our roster.
That's right. Again, something on the menu for everyone, just like at patreon.com/Craig and Friends. So until next time, everyone, that's our big announcement and more to come, actually, announcement wise. We love you and we'll talk to you soon.